So I have a new idea, like always. I'm going to perfect it today and hopefully sell it soon, but it's actually a new flavor idea for our existing, one of our existing products, which is our Fruitful Oatmeal. I've had this recipe in my mind for a while and I feel like it's going to be really good. It's like one of my favorites that I want to elevate to fit in with the rest of our products. And I'm going to take you with me today on the recipe formulation process, and I'm planning on ending with a final saleable product that we can put into production and start selling soon. Okay, first things first, I brought home some of our oatmeal, like our oat blend. It's a blend of like quick oats and rolled oats so that you don't need a stovetop to make it, but you still get like a nice like chewiness from the larger flakes. So I brought this home, so I'm going to use it as the base for our oatmeal. That's going to stay the same as our other products, and so is like the amount of like sugar and salt and toppings. I already know that I want those to be consistent, so it makes everything just a little bit easier versus when I was starting from scratch and I was like, how much toppings is like too much, because I don't want there to be like some sad, lonely apple slices at the bottom, and that's all you get. But I also don't want it to be like a trail mix, basically. So getting that balance was more time consuming, but I already did that. So what I'm going to start with is just what I know already. And if, say you have a recipe that you've been making at home that you want to start selling, like there are probably tweaks that need to be made on making it maybe shelf stable, or on the food safety side, or maybe just a few final things so that it appeals to more than just your taste. But the best place to start is always with what you know, and it makes it less like daunting if you know there's going to be like 20 things in it, but you already know how much of like half of them. Starting there is the best way to do it. So I have my oats that I'm going to start with, the same amount that's in like a single serve of our other oatmeal blends. Same with, for this one, oh, I didn't tell you what the flavor was. The flavor that I want to make is, like the idea came from like the cinnamon raisin, but what I want to do is like a raisin, pecan, flaxseed blend with brown sugar. That's the idea. And I don't know yet how many, no, I think I know. I have an idea for how much raisins to put in, but I don't know if I want to do just like raw pecans or if I want to toast them. So that's one thing I'm going to try out. But the real problem in my mind is I want to do cinnamon and nutmeg, and I know nutmeg is a really strong flavor. So getting that balance right, like the spice part of it, I feel like is going to be the most difficult part of everything, because otherwise like we know that the flavors work. It's just a matter of getting the exact like formulas right. Okay, so I'm going to add the brown sugar. You always need more sugar than you feel like, but I'm going to start with this amount. What makes it a little bit more difficult, and I probably should have weighed it, but that's fine. I'll weigh the final amounts, like volumes that I end with, I'll weigh later. But different sugars are like more and less dense depending on the granule size. So like a tablespoon of this might not be as sweet, or it's not as sweet as like the same exact volume of another kind of sugar that is smaller granules. So we'll see how it tastes if it needs more. And then salt. We use Himalayan pink salt in everything, and it is the same kind of thing. It's a bigger granule size as well. They're not too big where it's like it might not melt, or it might be like weird salty pockets. You don't want that. Okay. Oh, and then flax seeds. All of our blends have either like flax seeds or chia seeds or something like that, and it's always a consistent amount. So I already know how much I want to do of that, which is like a good balance thing. But these are things, for the most part, especially if it's something you've made before or you've made something similar before, like trust your gut to get your starting point. And that's the other thing. My starting point is going to be only two things changing. So I wouldn't start, and I've done it before, where I started with like 10 bowls and I do a bunch of different formulas, and that makes it really difficult. I would say start with 2 and change one variable at a time. I'm pretty confident in this flavor combo, so I feel like what I'm going to change is the 2 things, but not at the same time. So once I'm going to do raw and then toasted pecans and see what the difference is. I don't even think I need to put it in the oatmeal to tell which I want to do. Probably just try it, but if I'm not sure from that, I'll put it in the oatmeal. And the other one is the spice, like what amount of cinnamon and nutmeg to actually go in to like give that like classic nostalgic feel that I want, and like all of the like warmth and comfort that I want this blend to have. So those are the two main variables I'm going to be changing. Everything else is minor, like a little more sweet, a little more salty, you know, more toppings, less topping, like those are easy. But those are the main things I'm going to be like A/B testing today. So before I go any further, what I have right now is what's going to be consistent no matter what, which is the amount of oats, the amount of flax seeds, the amount of brown sugar, and the amount of Himalayan pink salt. So this is my starting point. Before I start messing around between them, I'm going to do toasted pecans so I can try them and compare to like fresh pecans and see which I like better. So I'm just going to do these in my toaster oven, and I really don't need, it's a pretty small bowl and I don't need a lot. Okay. So while those are toasting, I'm going to go ahead and do the raisins that I want to put in, and we'll see if what I thought was enough will actually be enough. So I'm planning on doing like 2 tablespoons per serving, and I did the sultana raisins. I tried a few actually already, and I probably should have waited, but I just thought I would take you with me on this journey like last minute. But I did try a bunch of raisins, and these were definitely my favorite, and I feel like you see these a lot more in baking. They're just like a much better fit for it. So that's that, and then really all we need now is spice and pecans. So I'm deciding, what do I want to do first? You know what I'm going to do? I do this sometimes when I really don't know where to start, because I know nutmeg is really strong, but I don't know like the ratio of cinnamon to nutmeg normally used. I know it can probably vary, but like is it 1:1? Is it like 1:10? Like it would just save me a lot of time. So I'm going to look up some recipes for just different like baked goods and just see what kind of ratio they normally use to give me a starting point. And I will do that, and I will come right back. These are my pecans. I set it to toast, but Timothy has this other dial on broil. Crap, I really don't have that many pecans, so I gotta be more careful. Let's see. I'm going to try to do a blend of cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves for like the trio of warming spices that you would normally find in baking. I don't have ground cloves, so I'm going to grind them up in my little spice grinder, and then I'm going to create a blend, which seems to be the go-to in the industry. I might tweak it a little bit, but I'm going to do the exact same in both so that I can get a good starting point and see if we need just more of the existing blend that I'm about to make, or if we want to tweak the blend itself and the ratios. Okay, I ended up doing a teaspoon of cinnamon, a little bit less than a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and then a little bit less than 1/8 of a teaspoon of cloves, which I do all the time because I can't follow a recipe if it doesn't look like what I'm going to want. So later, if this is the blend that we go with, I'll have to convert everything to weights, obviously, for manufacturing. But for the time being, this will work just fine. So I have that, and I've put a 1/4 teaspoon into both bowls, and I just added in the raw and toasted pecans. So what I'm going to do next, and I probably should have said this in the beginning, I have the video, but normally I'll be taking notes the entire way through. So like I said, I wouldn't start with more than 2 variants, or more than 1 variant, more than 2 samples at a time, and I would label both. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper, and I'm just going to put them underneath, one saying toasted, one saying raw. So my kettle's heated up. I'm going to add the water. Ours is prepared a certain way, or recommended a certain way, where you add the water, obviously you give it a stir, and then you cover it and you let it sit for 3 minutes, and like that's been perfect for all of my blends. So I'm going to prepare it that way as well, and then add a splash of almond milk, and we'll try it together. Okay, so my timer went off. It actually went off a couple minutes ago, but these look and smell amazing. So all I'm gonna do before I try them is how I like to eat all my oatmeal. Maybe I should try it first. I like to do a splash of almond milk, but I should probably try it without. Yeah. Okay, so I have tried both, and before we get into the part that's different between them, I feel like the spice blend is perfect, but I feel like both need more sugar. The salt presence was really good, but I think it's just because of the bigger granules. It could use a little bit more sugar, a little more sweetness, especially when you have spices like cloves in there. So I want to change that next, but I think I'm pretty happy with that spice blend. I don't think I'm going to make any changes to it. Yeah, I felt pretty good about it. And then the difference is the toasted and raw pecans here, and I couldn't taste any difference. Like there wasn't really, like the crunch was great in both of them. So I don't know if it's worth it to try to toast pecans for a recipe like this. So I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with the raw ones because in general, like if it doesn't make a difference to your recipe and it takes more time, like why do it? But if it was like crunchier and like added a nice like toasted flavor that you could actually pick up on, I would do it, but I can't. So I'm gonna stay with the raw pecans. My difference is gonna be, I'm gonna keep the control, I'm gonna make it again. The control being with the raw, and I'm going to make it again, this time with a little bit more sugar, maybe like another half teaspoon more sugar, and then just a touch less of the spice blend. Okay. If we are lucky, this one will just be perfection. I did break my own rule about changing more than one thing at a time, but I find when you're like right at the very end, it's so like easy. It's so tempting too, because I felt like they were kind of intertwined, like it was too much spice and also not quite sweet enough, and they kind of worked together, so I felt like it was important to change both. I did add too much water to this, but that's okay. I eyeball everything anyways, and I like it a little bit runnier. Let's see. Oh yeah. Ooh. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Okay. Oh my god. Yeah, this is a winner. Okay. I've already ate pretty well this whole bowl. It is so fantastic. And normally I have to do like at least a dozen batches of something to get like a good workable sample that I want other people to try. But this is just perfect. It's gonna be amazing on like a cold winter morning. It's so like warming and like satisfying and crunchy and perfection. So I'm excited about that. I have these little craft pouches left over from our holiday collection that I'm gonna put some samples in and deliver them to get some feedback from some friends and like mentors of mine. But this is definitely gonna be sold on our site like within the next month, and it is so yummy. I can't wait for that. I've already started designing the packaging. I'm going to be sharing that as well, how I designed all of our own packaging, and I have a video series coming out on basically starting for less with any kind of product idea or food product idea specifically, from like sourcing packaging, designing packaging, sourcing ingredients, actually getting your products made and getting the word out. That's the very next thing that's going to be coming out. which I'm really excited about because I've launched products for $100,000 and I've launched products for essentially $0. And I've learned a lot of very hard lessons along the way that I want to share. So all of that's coming out. If you like the video, I hope you'll subscribe or give it a thumbs up, and I will be back soon.